If you have questions about how to market your criminal defense law firm, tune in and I'll tell you what works, what to do, and when to do it.
You are listening to the Prosperous Law Podcast. Learn how to reduce stress, have more time, and make more money. Come on in.
I'm Greg McCollum, and I built a 7-figure criminal defense law firm. I formed Prosperous Law to show criminal defense law firm owners who are desperate for success how to grow from under $200,000 to $1 million and beyond. Today's topic is criminal defense lawyer marketing, and it's criminal defense lawyer marketing, not lawyer marketing, because there are differences in how you market a criminal defense law firm, and I talked about that in the last podcast episode. Because the criminal defense client becomes a potential client when an arrest happens, that's a jolting event, and it's an unexpected event. Even people that commit crimes regularly and are what we would call criminals, they have the intention to be a criminal, they're not honest people, they're doing things that are illegal. Even for them, even though they may think it's coming, for instance, if somebody's a professional drug dealer and they're thinking in the back of their mind, oh, I might get caught one day, still when it happens, it's a jolting event. People don't contact my law firm and say, hey, I'm running a criminal enterprise and I want to put you on retainer because if I ever need a lawyer and the police seize my money and my assets and lock me up and I can't get to the money to hire a lawyer, I want to go ahead and put you on retainer now so that will be done. That doesn't happen. Now, in my law firm, there have been people who were being investigated or there was an incident or something happened and they were scared about it that did hire me. And then there were a few people but this was very rare out of probably maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people, maybe more than that. I don't know how many people I've represented all total. I probably should add that up. But say I've represented 5,000 to 10,000 people over the course of 30-something years. There have been some people that said, "Hey, I want you to just hold this money, and then if something happens, I'm calling you, and you'll be ready to go." But that doesn't usually happen. So for a criminal defense lawyer, the people that need you, there's been a jarring event. And so it's an emergency, it's urgent. They may have a court date coming up. Depending on the charge, if it's a DUI or something in our jurisdiction, they don't do this the same way, but the idea in Myrtle Beach was for summary court cases, for cases in city court, and that could be a simple possession of marijuana, it could be shoplifting, could be drunk and disorderly, could be DUI, it could be reckless driving, it could be petty larceny, it could be a fight, a simple assault kind of thing. The idea in Myrtle Beach, I think, is where this came from, is because people were on vacation, they would set their court date immediately. So in other words, a person gets out of jail on Sunday and they've got court Tuesday, sometimes Monday, all right? And they don't seem to do that anymore. And now if somebody gets a DUI, usually their bench trial date is a week or two out, maybe a little bit farther, depending on the court schedule. But it comes up fast. Now, with felony cases, certainly in this jurisdiction in South Carolina, specifically in the Myrtle Beach area and the Charleston area, they still have a court date in 30 to 45 days. And so that's quick. And so when somebody gets arrested and they need a lawyer, they're not thinking, well, I got 3 or 4 months to figure this out. It's something that happens now. And so there's an urgency there, and the marketing has to reflect that. The marketing has to be aware of that and do it in a certain way. And I remember in this one coaching program I was in forever, and it was very good. And they spent a lot of time talking about basically what they call dripping on people. So in other words, it's the whole idea of follow-up, like you need to follow up with your leads. And a lot of people would say, how much do you follow up? And they would say, well, follow up until they buy or die. Just keep following up. And follow up in criminal defense, it has a place, and it is important to follow up. But at the same time, you don't have a long window. And usually the people that wait the longest are not necessarily the best clients, certainly not the best clients we're looking for. Somebody that just put it off and ignored it, and they call us because they got court tomorrow, or they got to fly back from Pennsylvania because and it's Tuesday and they got court on Friday. Those don't tend to be the clients that we're looking for. They're not the people that, they're usually not people who have a lot to lose. Sometimes they are because of different situations, but that's not really what we're looking for. The best clients usually are the ones who something happens and they call us either while it's happening or immediately after it happens when they get out of jail. And sometimes they might take a day, to recover from going through the jail booking process, spending the night in the jail, as terrible as that is, and then going through getting out on bond and then having to get settled. And sometimes people in that situation, so let's say they're staying in our area and they're in a hotel or something, before they call a lawyer, they're going to pack up and they're going to fly home or drive home. And once they get home and get settled, then they're going to call. So within that window, though, that's what you're looking at. Some people, want to get a lawyer before they leave town. And that used to happen a lot more. Now with the information age and everything so many things are remote and people are so much more comfortable with that. And I think there's some very specific reasons for that. They don't have to touch us and meet with us and do all of that in person. They're much more comfortable doing it over the phone, or if they need to see us, they can do a Zoom call. But really, the way marketing works now is if they go to our website, they see us. There are pictures of us. There's video of us. If they go on different channels, we're there. They can see us, and so they don't have to come in and meet with us. They can see our office and all of that. And I think that's what changed a lot of that. So for criminal defense lawyers, and there's a saying, I don't know if you've ever heard of CRISP coaching or CRISP video, but Michael Mogul says, the best cases go to the best marketers. And that's his belief. That's his statement. That's the basis of CRISP Video and his company that he started. And they've been very successful at helping lawyers. But his saying is that, and I think it's in his book as well, is being a good lawyer will not make you successful. And this idea that you build it, they will come, or you build a better mousetrap, or you do good work, you will be successful. People taught me that was true when I was a young lawyer, and people in private practice that I looked up said, well, you do good work, you take care of the law for 10 years, the law will take care of you. That's not true anymore. And in fact, I see what I consider good lawyers who are getting out of law, or they're doing something else on top of that. And some of it is burnout and stress, and that's a huge factor. But a lot of it is just because they can't get clients. And when I've talked about this before, I said the thing that's happening in the world now, the way marketing occurs and the way lawyers get found, is that for a solo practitioner, for the man or woman who has a small criminal defense law firm, it's an extinction and it's consolidating. And so there are things that you can do to protect yourself, and there are things you can do to grow your firm and make more money and have more clients. And you can even scale that if you want to. And that's something that we teach, and it's something that I've done with my own law firm. But it's becoming, at least in my view, It's the haves and the have-nots. And there's some have-nots out there who are good lawyers, and there's some haves out there who are not as good lawyers, and some of them aren't even good at all. But there's the haves and the have-nots, the haves and the have-nots. And that's marketing. So if you're not marketing, then you're not going to be a have. You're not going to grow. And if you don't like that, then I understand it. And much of my life as a lawyer, I didn't like it either. And I thought it was distasteful. The injury lawyer marketing, especially the television marketing, I thought did a lot to harm lawyers. And it tarnished lawyers' reputations, because we're supposed to be professionals. We're supposed to be above that. And lawyers have tried to stay above that, and I've tried to stay above it. Now, a lot of the marketing that I do to try to temper that is what's called informational marketing. So if you go to my TV show or go to my ads on television and that sort of thing, I'm explaining something, which is informational. I'm not just screaming, call me, call me, call me. And there's a lot of advertising like that. Now, there's some other issues about that it's effective as long as you're the only one doing it. So if you're a personal injury lawyer and it's the 1980s and you're on TV or standing on a tractor trailer or whatever they do, screaming, injured, call me. That worked in a wildly successful way. And I know a lot of lawyers that became extremely successful doing that. And the reason it worked is because they were the only ones doing it. Because a large portion of, the bar, they weren't going to do it because they thought it was beneath them. They thought it was beneath the profession. And whether you think it is or it isn't, they wouldn't do it. So the people out there doing it, even with, these hokey kind of bad commercials, badly produced, badly scripted, no brand, just attention getting, it worked. But then what happened is with personal injury lawyers, which we've seen this for a long time now, I know personal injury lawyers that their case counts are falling, even though they're spending a lot of money on billboards or television or whatever it is they're doing, because everybody's doing it. Now, there's some advantages in criminal law because it's just not saturated. And in fact, you don't see a lot of, at least in our market in South Carolina, you don't see a lot of criminal lawyers or law firms doing branding marketing. And the branding marketing is my favorite. If I could just spend all of my marketing dollars on brand, that's where I would go, because I want to build a solid brand. And if somebody gets arrested, I don't want them thinking, oh, I need to do a search for, best criminal defense lawyers in Myrtle Beach or DUI lawyers in Myrtle Beach, and then get thousands of results. I want them to say, oh, something terrible happened. My child was arrested, or, I was arrested. So I need help. I need a good law firm. I need people that can care about me and take care of me. So I know what to do. I'm calling Complete Legal Defense Team. That's the best kind of marketing. Now, there's so much transactional marketing out there that we do as well, because it works. Because we're not branded. We're not Coca-Cola. We're not McDonald's. If I'm going to get like the hamburger special, because I'm traveling in a car or something, I'm going to go to McDonald's. I'm not Googling, hamburgers near me, best hamburgers in the next town. The reason I'm going to go to McDonald's is because it's a consistent brand. I know what I'm going to get. I know what to expect. I know how, all of that. So, Complete Legal Defense Team, we're not McDonald's. If I'm going to drink a soft drink, and I'm going to get a Coke, or I'm going to get a Diet Coke, or I prefer Pepsi, that's what I'm going to get. That's the brand. So in my view, for me, that's what I want. I want to be the brand. I want to be the top brand. But at this stage, based on law firm revenues, I don't have the budget for Coca-Cola. So I have to do the transactional marketing. So, and when I say transactional marketing, what I'm saying is somebody's searching for the thing, the product or service. In this case, it's criminal defense lawyer. They're searching for that, and then they get search results, and they pick one, or they pick a couple to call. And that's a whole different thing too, because if you're up there and they call you and they don't talk to you, and then because of the urgency, then they call somebody else, and it might be at night or weekend, or it might be 5:15, on a weekday, and then they get an answering machine or don't get anything, and then they call my law firm, and 10 minutes later somebody calls them back. They're probably going to hire us. Now, they don't just hire us because we call them back, but that's a huge factor, because when they call, they're ready to buy. So it has to be responsive. So if you're not responsive, you're really wasting your time on that. Now, how does this work in terms of branding and then searching for the service? And I pulled up some numbers here just the other day because I was looking at this, because some of this stuff is measured, right? And so if you look at the last 4 weeks, people searching for some variation of criminal defense lawyer Myrtle Beach, criminal lawyer Myrtle Beach, criminal defense attorney or something, in that 4-week period, there are 470 searches for those keywords. Now, there also, I had 210 searches, and these really aren't searches. These are people that contacted us. So 470 people, I think, contacted us on those searches, and 210 contacted us on the brand. And the brand was 140 people Googled or searched for Greg McCollum, 70 people Googled or searched for Complete Legal Defense Team. And they misspell it. They put Complete Defense Team or whatever. So that's 210. So if my brand is making 210 people call me, and my generalized search for what I do, criminal defense, is 470, it's not bad. Now, ideally, I would rather it be, if that's was 690 people, I'd rather it be 600 people search for Complete Legal Defense Team and 90 people are searching for criminal defense lawyers in Myrtle Beach. I don't know if it'll ever get to there, but that's incremental, and I've done a lot of specific branding over the years to get that. Now, some of those people, if they're searching for Greg McCollum or Complete Legal Defense Team, some of those people are going to be clients. Some of those people that are calling us again. Some of those people are going to be marketers and people that want to sell us something. Some of those people are going to be just like, I need to talk to somebody at Greg's office, so I'm going to just Google his name and it comes up. A lot of that is going to be that. And I could find out exactly how many that is. But, you can always find out more. Point is that the branding versus the search term of what they need is there. And so the other thing that stands out about this is that when I first changed my law firm from M. Gregory McCollum Attorney at Law to Complete Legal Defense Team, I knew that I just wanted the brand. I wanted to be Complete Legal Defense Team. I wanted people to hire my law firm, not me. I didn't want people saying, well, if you don't handle my case, I'm not going to hire you. And that happens too, okay? And I could talk about that. That's another topic. But the digital marketing people I was talking to, they said, Greg, you've been doing this so long, and I had cases that were in the news, and I'd done other stuff, and so you search Greg McCollum or Greg McCollum attorney, you got a lot of hits. And if you search Complete Legal Defense Team, because I just created it, you got none. So it's mixed in there. One day, I think, sometime in the future, it won't be. But that's why that's there. And so if you look at that, if I look at this, say, a year from now or 2 years from now, and instead of it being 140 for Greg McCollum and 70 for Complete Legal Defense Team, and it's reversed, and now it says, 250 Complete Legal Defense Team and, 75 for Greg McCollum, that means that my branding is working and my marketing is working. Now, in terms of measurement, what do you measure? I think it was attributed to Peter Drucker, says what gets measured gets managed. And then I saw this whole article saying that that's not true, and Peter Drucker didn't say it. Some guy published it back in 1956, criticizing that concept. But whether Drucker coined the term or not, he certainly said it. And so what gets measured gets managed. And regardless of what people said in this article, I believe that what gets measured gets managed, and I think it's important. The detractors of this talked about companies that were measuring things that were insignificant, and then people were spending all their time to get good grades on their measurement and doing the wrong thing. That's a whole different issue. So can you measure it? Yes, you can measure it. You can measure your leads and things, where they come from, with tracking numbers and different other things. Is it perfect? No. And then you have the idea of attribution. So in other words, if somebody needs a criminal defense lawyer and they look us up and they see stuff about us on social media and they look at our website and then they don't call from the website, they go, oh, what was the name of that firm? Or I wrote it down. Oh, here they are. I'm going to call them. So they look it up, and so maybe it's a paid ad comes up, or maybe they went to straight to our website organically and looked it up. That's just the last thing that they did. And I had a brief conversation with somebody because of our law firm Pens, and he said you should have the phone number on it. And maybe I should have the phone number on it, but it's to brand us. And my thought on that, and I'm not saying I'm right about this, is nobody's going to call me because my number's on a pen without looking me up, okay? And if they did call, I think they would look me up afterwards. So the tracking is flawed, but it does help. It does give you information. So I think you should do at least some of it, but don't go crazy with it. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you own a criminal defense law firm and you want help and you want to grow and reduce stress, if you got a lot of stress, if you got money problems, if you don't know where your next case is coming from, we can help you with that. If you want help, you can go to prosperatlaw.com. There's a place on there we can schedule a call. Go to prosperatlaw.com, schedule a call. I'll get on a call with you and let you know if we can help you grow your law firm. That's all for now. Thanks for listening.
If you want to know more, go to prosperatlaw.com. We show criminal defense law firm owners how to reduce stress, have more free time, and make more money. Thanks for listening.